Hello, hello. We're going to give a couple minutes for everybody to chime in. I thank you for joining us at 5 o'clock. So this is after work, but this is very important information that we want to share with you. We've been getting some great questions and thought it was probably best for us to do a couple of information sessions to answer as many of the questions as a group that we could. And the hope was that, as one person asks a question, it may spark another idea from somebody else. So we wanted to do that. We have, in terms of how the program flow, we'll go today. I'll do some brief introductions. I definitely want to highlight our presenting sponsor, and then we'll turn it over to Sam, who will walk through a brief presentation, and that will sort of lay the baseline for the program, and then we want to open it up for questions and answers. We're going to attempt to do a couple things, so you can always put your questions in the Q&A box, and we will get to them, and we'll ask them in the order that we get them in the Q&A box. But we also want to allow, and we'll try it to see if we can unmute people. If you have a question that may be a little bit more intense and you'd rather say it, if you would just raise your hand, and then we'll try to unmute you. If that doesn't work, don't blame it on our hearts, because we really would love for something like that to work. It's, in there, we'll get to it, but make sure that we get to it in the Q&A box. Also want to remind you guys, I know you probably see it, this is being recorded, and it's being recorded so that we could continue to share this information. So please remember that when you ask your questions in here. So with that, I just want to welcome you. I thank you for joining us. This is our information session for Boost, which stands for Black Owned and Operated Storefront Tenancy. This is, for us, what we believe at Downtown Partnership is, a win-win-win, where 1+1 is going to equal 5. I'm Shalonda Stokes, the president of Downtown Partnership, and I can't even explain to you how excited I am about this initiative. And so many of you may have saw, we launched it last week, had the mayor help launch it, the city council president, our councilman Costello, and we also had some of our sponsors on board. Before we go too deep, I want to bring up our presenting sponsor, Delali Daraza, and I want to say a couple things about him, Delali, before you speak. As we were designing what Boost would be, we wanted to design it with growth in mind. And so it's the thought that we're working with organizations. You guys know what you do, you're doing it well. We want to help expand and elevate that. In doing so, we thought, how great would it be to have a presenting sponsor who models everything that we're talking about? And so I can't thank Delali enough for stepping up to the plate, for what he's not only willing to do and offering to do with this program, but what he's done for his organization and a couple other cohorts. And so just to give you a little bit of background on him, we talked about it. We claim him as We Downtown Partnership, in that, part of his attraction to downtown Baltimore was through a Tech Connect grant that he received from Downtown Partnership. He has grown his organization by leaps and bounds. I mean, employees, revenue, and I'm proud to say, he's like it's a part of something that we really did. But he's grown his organization to 40 million, and that's not it. He didn't stop there. He created an organization called Hutch with the goal of really launching and expanding. I believe it's 20 or 25 tech businesses and the like. I had the pleasure of partnering with him on another initiative, Hack Baltimore. I know that he led and co-chaired with Dion Joyner-Weems, and that was really about leveraging tech to solve some problems. And so what I love about him is it's about problem solving, it's about growth, it's about creating an ecosystem where everybody rises. And so Delali, I thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sponsoring this initiative. And I'm gonna just tell you, you're what's standing between us talking about this program, so no pressure there.
They're like, get out the way, Shalonda. We want our money. But thank you so much, Shalonda. I appreciate it, and everything in the Downtown Partnership are doing and have done, and Sam also for supporting and getting this program off the ground. It's been awesome. I mean, you alluded to it in your talk, but you're right. I mean, we are a product of downtown and Downtown Partnership, and so this is, and everything you mentioned. I mean, it's not a Delali story. It's not a Philly story. It's a Baltimore story, and really what happens when Baltimore comes together and decides it wants to do something and invest in the people that are here. And so that investment has helped us to take shape. It allowed us to move into Baltimore, set up an office. And when we moved here, we were we looked at the numbers, about 15 people when we received that grant. And so to be able to grow and thrive, and we just need a little bit of direction. We need a little bit of fuel, and Baltimore really supported and backed us. And so when Shalonda reached out and described what they were thinking and cooking up at Downtown Partnership, we were like, we're in. Whatever you need, we're in. We want to support, right? So to have the ability to give back to a city and give back to an organization that has given us so much was exactly what we wanted to do and what we want to be a part of. And so we're excited, and anything that we can do to support all of the amazing companies that will come through Boost and all the new companies that you all will spawn and really just change the direction of our city and downtown. We're excited to be a part and feel really honored to be a partner in this initiative.
Thank you for that. And I know that the businesses are really excited about what's to come. So Delali, you took the charge. Not only did you talk about putting your money behind the program, but another thing that we're appreciative of is you really helped us shape what will be the cohort model. And so some of that I know we'll get to talk a little bit about, but this program for us is not about checking a box. It's about really going and moving the needle and making sure that we can do some things to help elevate these businesses. So I thank you for doing that. Next, I want to bring up Sam Story. You talked about him, Delali. Sam is our Director of Economic Development here. And it's been so amazing working with him when you talk about ideas and what you can do and see somebody who's as passionate as he is in really making sure that we do this thoughtfully, that he's getting and working with property owners who really want to engage with these businesses, that we're looking at sponsors and not just about their dollars, but technical assistance and all of that. So Sam, if you could, for the next few minutes, kind of walk us through the program, the background, all of those things that I know we're getting consistently as questions before we turn it over and open it up to the Q&A. And I just want to remind everybody as Sam is going, please put your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll get to them as soon as Sam finishes. And then we may try the hand raise piece as well. So please continue to do that. So Sam, take it away.
Thank you so much, Shalonda, and thank you for your leadership on this project. So I'm just going to give a brief presentation about this initiative, try and give an overview of some of the main points, and then as Shalonda said, we're going to open it up for questions. So overall, what is Boost? Well, we're seeking entrepreneurs through this program, Black entrepreneurs that present a strong business plan, something that is original, unique, and well thought. B, we want businesses that have a broad community impact. We want original ideas from businesses, so something that might not exist anywhere else downtown. And last, we want to support downtown Baltimore's recovery through your presence downtown. We want to attract businesses that will cross-pollinate with their neighbors and overall help promote downtown Baltimore's resurgence. Next slide. And so why is this important now? Why are we looking to draw these businesses downtown? There are three main reasons for this. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, vacancies have increased throughout Baltimore, but also in downtown Baltimore. And that's evident as you walk around, you see some of the businesses have shuttered due to the quarantine and the related economic recession. And we think that efforts to address these vacancies and to fill them with thriving businesses will support numerous different goals downtown, both economic goals, social goals, as well as safety goals as well. And then finally, we really see this as righting a historical wrong, at least one step right wrong. It is well known that Black-owned businesses have less access to capital at startup. They are denied loans more frequently than white-owned businesses, and have higher failure rates than white-owned businesses. And so we view this program as being one step to addressing historic inequities along the way to promoting a healthy, vibrant, safe downtown. Next slide. And so that's a lot of talk, but what does this actually mean? What are going to be the benefits of this program? I think the main benefit that a lot of you are interested in is the grants that goes along with this. So the winners of the Downtown Boost program will receive up to $50,000 in grants to support both build out and operations. This $50,000 is going to be broken up into three kind of separate purposes. The first, $20,000 will be for interior improvements to the retail space, $10,000 will be for exterior facade work, and then $20,000 will be for operations. So building out inventory and all the kind of expenses that are necessary to operate successfully. But this program isn't just about money. There's going to be an extensive, robust wraparound support package that is going to go along with this. And that will include tech, legal, and accounting support, local partners. Our law partner for this program is DLA Piper, and they will be providing no-cost support, no-cost counsel to all of our winners. We are working with Gross Mendelson and Associates, the accountant, who will be providing accounting, tax, and technology assistance, and many partners who will be supporting you along the way. You will also be receiving marketing support through Downtown Partnership's social channels, websites, and outdoor digital assets. Downtown Partnership staff will also be there along the way to help you with any licensing, permitting, or other administrative assistance that you might need. We have a partnership with the Baltimore Development Corporation through this initiative, and they have promised to do what they can to support any licensing and permitting requirements that might be necessary. And finally, we are offering affordable leases at one of 9 Target stores downtown. And actually, and one more thing is not listed here, we are also enrolling all of our Boost winners into an ongoing cohort. And this cohort will meet regularly, and it will be a way for you to collaborate with your fellow Boost winners as well as other businesses downtown, and it will be kind of a touch point and method of support so that you can get going guidance to be as successful as you can be over the long term. Next slide. So what are these storefronts? We tried to find storefronts that represent the range of offerings that are available throughout downtown Baltimore. So in each corner of Baltimore, of different sizes, of different build out conditions. So there are some that are completely built out for a restaurant. There are some that are completely in shell capacity now. We want to meet businesses where they're at so that you have all the options that you might need. We'd be willing to talk with you if you have another space in mind, but for the purposes of this initiative, we're really focusing on these 9 storefronts. Next slide. Eligible small businesses must meet a number of criteria in order to apply. First, must be operational. So we are not looking for businesses in this round, at least, that startup businesses with no history of financials. We need some financial documentation to speak to your success in Baltimore. You must currently have at least 2 employees. So owners count as employees. So if your business is owned by 2 different people, you would absolutely qualify for this. Owners must be at least 18 years of age. You must plan to operate in an open, activated storefront. So I say this because we have a somewhat of a broad definition of a retail concept. There are going to be restaurants, clothing stores, classic retail concepts absolutely qualify. But then if you have maybe a business that still operates an active storefront in which anyone from the street could walk in, even if it doesn't fit traditionally within that traditional retail definition, we would absolutely still love your application. You should be currently operating in the greater Baltimore area. So we will accept applications from those outside of Baltimore area if you are in Maryland, but the priority will be given to Baltimore-based businesses. You must include all required documentation with your application, and we'll go over that on the next slide, I believe, all the different things that are included in that. And then finally, you must provide proof of your business's status of good standing with the Maryland State Department of Assessments and Taxation. If you need any help understanding what that is, there is a link to that on the application. Next slide, please. So this is the application checklist that I alluded to, all the documentation that you will need. So you must you must submit a fully completed application form that includes a certification and acknowledgement at the end. There is the option to approve matching funds. This is not a requirement, but it will definitely speak strongly to your application if you do provide that. You must provide proof of status of good standing, as I just mentioned. You must provide a business plan. We're looking for a standard business plan for this application. If you need any assistance compiling your business plan, we are working with the Maryland Small Business Development Center, who has very kindly and graciously offered to provide support developing a business plan for all interested parties. So if you need any assistance with that, please reach out to me directly, and I can connect you with a consultant who could help compile a business plan. And then finally, we need a year's worth of financial statements, including a cash flow statement. Again, if you need any support with that, please reach out to me directly. Next slide. The timeline. So we launched this program just last week, and now we're in the second bubble there of having an information session. So where do we go from here? Well, the next milestone is on March 10th, that is when all applications must be submitted. And then throughout that month, we will be reviewing applications. We will announce finalists, and then we will have a pitch session where all finalists will pitch to our selection committee. And then in April, we will announce the first cohort of Boost winners. Next slide. And that's it. I've breezed through that. If you have any questions, I don't blame you. So please feel free to raise your hand, or we can start going through any that are in the chat if you have any questions. Maybe I can give a moment for people to submit their questions.
And it's true, Sam, while we're waiting, there was one in the chat box, and thank you, because I know Lauren has answered it. There are a couple people, I know one who had submitted their application, so thank you for responding. One of the things that we're doing, and I want to make sure we call it out, is this isn't a first come, first serve sort of basis. We're waiting to make sure that we collect all of the applications so that we can thoughtfully review them and align it. This program for us is not a check the box program. We really want to make sure that we're making the connection between properties that work with what you're doing. And so, we're getting them all in. So please continue to submit them. But that's the first part that was in there. And then I know, Sam, there were some questions that came in via email. I believe if you'll look at the chat box, I believe put those in there as well.
Okay. Yes. So I see that Lauren copied them. Will more properties be added to those qualifying for the Boost program? At this time, we are not considering more properties. It is a possibility down the road, but right now we are just focusing on these 9 target properties that are currently in the application. But I encourage you to reach out to me directly if you have a specific property in mind. I'd like to talk more. Will there be a time frame to utilize the grant? So I think it's important to step back and actually talk about what the timeline will be after Boost winners are selected. So there will be a number of stages along the way and a number of big milestones. The first will be signing the lease. The downtown partnership and all of our legal partner will be helping you along the way as you negotiate terms and sign your lease. And then after the lease is signed, then there will be a build-up period. We're not going to put stringent requirements on, you lose the money if you don't build it out by a certain time, but there will be an overall time gap on it. We don't want build out to extend forever. And I think that's part of why we encourage you to submit documentation showing matching funds, just so that we have some confidence that if we do award the grant, that should be able to fulfill your vision in a relatively reasonable amount of time. And then third, most businesses might need more funding. Will this program recommend or link entrepreneurs to other overarching funding sources? Yes, we definitely will. One thing in particular is that we will be keep a trustee for all Boost winners. And so that will be just right off the bat, one quick source of additional funding. And then using all of our connections to vendors, to crowdfunding investment options, to other grant sources, we will be there along the way to make sure that you get all the funding that you need, and to be a component of the cohort model. Let me see. And whoever asked that question, feel free to follow up if I didn't answer that completely. Mr. Store, I will be submitting my application by the end of the week. I have 1.5 employees. Will we still qualify? So 1.5 employees, so you have 1 employee and a part-time employee. I would encourage you to reach out to me directly about that. I don't know if that's just you as the owner plus 1 additional employee. If you actually have 1 full-time and 1 part-time and you are the owner, that would qualify. That would count as 2.5 employees. But reach out to me privately and we can discuss that a little bit more. Let me see. I see Craig. What would be an example? Oh, and I actually see we have a hand raised. Maybe we can move over to trying to let Deshawn speak.
Hey, Sam, it's not allowing us to do that. So I was actually just getting ready to type to Mr. Scott that we need him to put it in the Q&A.
Okay. All right.
Sorry,
about that, Deshawn.
We tried.
Yeah, we did. We did. All right.
I actually made it so Deshawn could speak. I'm not sure if he has to unmute on his end as well. Sorry, this is the behind the scenes tech guys, but he might be able to. So if he wants to give it a go, he's more than welcome to try. So if we want to give him a minute, we can see if he is able to ask.
Okay. Yeah, I do see a little microphone next to his name. Deshawn, can you hear us? All right, well, feel free to put your question into the Q&A. We'd love to hear from you. I'm going to be moving on to question. What would be an example of a novel food service facility? Maybe I'm not quite understanding that question. All food businesses, all kind of food establishments would be eligible, would be considered a reestablishment under the program.
But to elaborate, Sam, some of the things when they talk about novel or what we're doing, if you guys have ever heard of like Ben's Chili Bowl in DC or Slutty Vegan in Atlanta, those are places that people, that have grown in those areas, and people go from all around the world to kind of go there and sample those things. And so, there may be some things that are happening here. An idea that you're working on is something that you offer, a special pretzel mix that has all of these great things. I know I've gone to New York and there are special donuts that have, all of these things. So that would be the novelty that sort of comes with it, not a requirement in there, but those are things that enhance the opportunities for success of something like that in downtown.
Absolutely. I see Cynthia asked a question, what are lease terms in terms of years? So just to clarify, we have not, so all participating properties and brokers as part of this program, they have not committed to specific terms. So they have told me that they are willing to make deals and provide below market rent rates for the right business. And so it's going to come after the selection of the Boost winners that we will support you as you negotiate the terms with the property owner. That said, we are absolutely thinking more towards long-term leases. This is not going to be a pop-up location. We are thinking multi-year long-term leases in these locations. I see Deshaun asked, hello Sam, would we be able to view these locations? Yes, please reach out to me directly if you would like to schedule a viewing of any of the locations in the storefront brochure, and I can help facilitate that. But yes, reach out to me directly.
So Sam, just to clarify, does everybody on here have the storefront brochure where they could see more than just the addresses? But I know we have some photos of them and some specs. Do they all have it?
So yes, earlier in the chat, Lauren pasted the applicant and the overview document, and the storefront brochure component starts, I believe, on page 11 of the overview document. So that includes all the specs, a photo or two of each of the participating storefronts, and it also includes contact information for each of them as well.
Perfect. That's great. And so you're saying beyond what they could see in the brochure, if they want to schedule to actually go physically to the location, then they could work with you to schedule that. Great. Thank you.
I see Dai. This looks like a great opportunity for retail stores. I heard you say that other businesses will be allowed as long as walk-up business is welcome. Would a mental health business be able to apply? We are a mental health business and nonprofit as community programs that could be helpful to the development of the community. I would say reach out to me directly so that we can schedule a call about that. I'd love to hear more about your business. My initial thought is, I'd love to see a business plan and see the application. I don't want to rule anything out if you make an argument that it would have, a strong street level component in which anyone from walking by would be welcome to come into. I would definitely encourage you to reach out and submit an application. I see Zakia. What are some automatic disqualifiers? Can an existing business present a new business plan concept? So great questions. Thank you, Zakia. What are some automatic disqualifiers? If you were in, so as I mentioned, if you were in bad standing with Maryland SDAT, that would be a disqualifier. If you have negative marks or from the liquor board, or have come into bad terms with the Baltimore Department of Housing and Community Development, any kind of marks against you or outstanding fines or anything like that's something that will disqualify you, unfortunately. We are looking for businesses that are currently in good standing. Another we are not looking for startup businesses at this time. So if you don't have a full year of financials to show for your business, then it's not right, at least for this round of Boost. But your second question is also a very good one. Can an existing business present a new business plan concept? I'd say absolutely yes. And I've talked to a couple folks about this. A couple folks who have a business that they've been operating and they're looking to expand into something slightly different. I think that that is absolutely something that we'd be willing to consider. I would just say when you submit your financials, submit it for the business that you already have, and then in your description, describe your new plans. As long as there is some thread that can tie it together, I think that we absolutely be willing to consider.
One other thing I want to add, and I know we're getting a number of questions even around startups and stuff like this. Part of the thought behind this program is helping scale. And so while we know there are some amazing ideas out there, we need a year so that we can help grow. We want to help increase the number of employees and the success, and know that you have that base. But some of our partners around the table are here and they're great at helping with the idea stage. So the reason that we have some of the small business resource centers and some of those is we don't want to leave people hanging, in that you guys, we want to make sure that we're directing anybody who's interested in growing a business in Baltimore, especially in downtown, to the right resources. And for some others who may not qualify for this program in totality, there still may be, BGE is one of our partners, as Sam explained, And they're, you know, they have $15 million that they're awarding in $20,000 increments for operating expenses. And so while you may not qualify for the full boost concept, it's not to say that other partners, you know, that there won't be opportunities with other partners.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a great point. If you need any support with financing or something outside of Boost, please also reach out to me, and I'd be happy to discuss those in more detail. So I see Laquel has another question. Will you consider service-based businesses such as nurse staffing agencies? I say typically no, we would not. A staffing agency doesn't really fit in the realm of what we're talking about. If you if you have a strong argument for it, I'd be happy to talk through it with you. But I think we are looking for businesses that act at a vacant storefront. So we want someone walking by to walk by and see that it is a space that is activated in which, you know, things are and B, we want it to be a space where anyone walking by would feel welcome, where they would have a space to come into it. And they get to necessarily make an appointment or, you know, only be there for a specific reason. We want it to be something that's open and inviting for tourists, for residents, for any that happens to be in downtown that day. Joanne, I did find an employer requirement a bit discouraging. These are already barriers for Black-owned businesses. I don't have any employee, but my growth plan does include hiring people. If I outline this in my application, will it be considered? Thank you. I completely know where you're coming from, and I completely hear the requirement. I hear the concern. Unfortunately, the requirement for employees is a requirement from our funding source. It's a requirement from B&E, and so we would not be able to get out of that. However, as I mentioned before, the Downtown Partnership does provide other grant opportunities for businesses that move into vacant storefronts downtown. And if you would like to discuss those with us, I'd be happy to start the conversation. So please reach out to me privately.
Sam, before you go, I think especially for Joanne, and it's a part of what I was trying to say, is as we're designing this, we don't know what's going to happen with the second cohort. So for this first cohort that we're going through, we are really looking, as I mentioned, to help scale. And so there's some baseline things that we know need to be in place to help it be a success on both ends. But she's absolutely right. The barriers that exist for Black businesses is part of the reason that makes it sort of hard to get in here. The reason that we are really aligning the technical assistance, the marketing assistance, and all of those other things is so that we can help these businesses get to that next hump, with the thought of, ultimately doing something like Fearless, where they, have upwards of probably 100 employees now, is the goal to kind of get there. And so we had to start with something that was also sort of manageable on our end, that gave some baselines, and as Sam talked about, also aligned with the funding sources that we had. But similar to my statement previously, this isn't the only program. It's not the only thing we're aligned with. And so really want to figure out how we find and identify and work with some of the partners to make sure that everybody is finding a place that works for their business.
Thank you for that, Shalonda. I think you're spot on there. Yeah. See, Jody Davis, what if you are in business and have been in business for some years and are looking to grow but don't currently have employees? Can you qualify? As we just addressed, this program might not be right for you, but there are numerous other programs that I'd be happy to connect you with and discuss more. And I want to reiterate that owners do qualify as employees. And so if your business is co-owned with someone else, you would still qualify for this program. Then moving on to Neville Henry. How about a plant-based health and wellness company? I think that sounds fantastic to me. Yeah, I'd love to hear more about it. So feel free to reach out to me privately or an application. I think sounds great. Do you see a role for design professionals in this process? For example, matching them with successful applicants as part of the technical support? Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea, and I'd love to discuss more. So please reach out to me privately. I'd love to see if there's a way that that we could do that. Based on last year being a pandemic year, which impacted our business tremendously, we would not have a full year of financials. Well, so even if you weren't getting revenue for a full 12 months, even if it's a partial year, I think we'd still be willing to discuss it. I'd encourage you maybe to reach out to me separately so that we can maybe troubleshoot that specific concern. But we need to see some level of financials. So if you have no revenue or profits at all, I don't know if this opportunity would be right for you. But if you have financials for some of the year, I think it's something that we could discuss.
Sam, it's a question on the other side. You may have answered this, but I just want to make sure we don't leave anything. One of the questions from Craig, did you answer that one? Ken, should this be a second location for the store? And I saw Lauren talked about it, but just whether or not people can have this as a second location.
Yeah, I would say yes. The one thing, we are not looking for national chains or looking for, something that isn't locally based, but if you are an entrepreneur from the Baltimore area and are a second location, I would absolutely encourage you to apply. Yes.
That's good.
Did I miss anything else on the chat?
That's what I was going back through just to double check and see.
Yeah.
And for everybody that's on, even if there aren't any, I just want you to know we're building this at this point in time. So we want the program to be as successful as possible. We're leveraging some of the wins that Fearless has with how they created their cohort. We want to make sure that we're creating an online, ecosystem that you also the support of those other 4, right? We're doing this in 5 for this first section so that we can build together and grow together. I know for me, in growing Graybo, part of the thought previous is like, man, if I had $50,000 and somebody to help with accounting and marketing and banking and technical assistance, I can only imagine how much that would have grown. And so that's part of what we're crafting, but it will evolve, right? As we see certain things are going to work well, certain things are not, we may end up having to shift some things around. And so I thank you for your patience. And I just want you to know this is designed, to help grow. That is, in essence, what it is. And once we get to the second cohort, we don't know how it will shift, but we'll take the learnings. One of the things and I want to, Sam, applaud you in just fleshing out the design, but he leveraged other programs. He, looked at the Remington program. He looked at the Howard Street, initiative. And so what's happening with Lexington Market and all of those things so that we could pull out and talking with, those program managers and the participants who won to figure out what are the things that worked and what was still missing in that and try to build it from this point. So did we answer everything?
So Voice of God
that,
here, I actually have a question for you all. If you could clarify, we've used the language second cohort or second round a couple of times. I think it would be great if you could explain that to our attendees.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So just back, what I mean when I say cohort is actually, as Shalonda mentioned before, we are basing it off of Delali, his successful Hutch model. He's been a really fantastic kind of mentor as we've been shaping this process. And he's given us a lot of insight into how to find a group and incubate them so that they not only are able to get the support that they need to thrive, but that they're able to support each other. And so that component is going to be very important to us. And so in this first round, we're going to be selecting 5 boost winners. And these winners are going to be meeting at a regular cadence, whether it's once a week, once every other week, going to be at a regular time and date. And at those sessions, we will be providing information and lessons on how to business, how to find success. I know for a lot of you who are probably more seasoned business owners, that might not sound as interesting, but in talking to Ollie, one of the things he stresses that, actually some of his most experienced businesses tend to find the most out of these sessions because it is through the mentorship and the connections with other businesses that they learn and that they grow themselves. And so we are actually searching for cohorts with entrepreneurs from different backgrounds, with different skill sets. And so it's going to be an ongoing group that meets, that builds a relationship, that is able to collaborate on an online platform. And it's going to be through that platform and cohort that we then plug in all of our partners as well to provide legal support, et cetera. And so right now we're starting with 5 winners in this initial first round. And we expect this to proceed in a number of different rounds. So this cohort will be 5 individuals, and then there will be another cohort and potentially another cohort after that. And you can see in this way that our group of businesses will be growing and learning from each other over time. And we hope that it will be, in a way, a small community of entrepreneurs who are supporting each other and lifting each other up downtown. Something that we hear a lot throughout Baltimore, that businesses don't really know where to turn to for help. They don't really know how to get support and guidance. And we really think that this kind of peer support program is one answer to the puzzle. I see some more, and if anyone doesn't understand that or has any more questions, feel free to pop it in the Q&A. I see one from Cynthia. I do have one more question. I have another location that has very long hours. When you want us to be an open store, are there hours a day, a week that you have in mind? I do not. I do not think that there is a minimum number of hours that you have to be open. We're not going to put in that requirement at this time. Does the second employee have to be full-time, or would contractors that I commission throughout the year qualify? That's a good question.
Take that one, Sam, because I know I did speak with BGE because I know a lot of the requirement around the second employee comes from them. They are modifying that a little bit, I think, based on some of the feedback they're getting. And so if we could hold that, Jody, I think that would be good and get back to you.
Yeah. Thanks, Shalonda. Yeah, Jody, I would actually love if you reach out to me so we can schedule a time to talk. I'd love to hear your proposal and kind of what your staff conditions are. But
Jody, I would love if you could get me, if I could get into the store and get some more wardrobe, I'm just saying. But anyway, no.
If you're not selected for the first round, will there be an opportunity to work with you all to be more attractive for the second round? Yes, 100% yes. One model that we are looking at is the Lexington Market process, and they have been an incredible partner for the Downtown Partnership. Seawall, who's leading that project, but something that has been really inspiring as well is to see how they have been so dedicated to their applicants and to the community overall. And so, they had their first round of applicants for vendors for Lexington Market, and then they have been working with all those applicants over time to help prepare for the second round of applications, to connect them with other resources. And so we're definitely going to be following in their footsteps to do something similar to make sure that every applicant that we have is connected to resources that they need to be successful, even if it's not through Boost. I see someone is raising their hands. Do you want to try again? Let's see. Olivia, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yes, hi, thank you. My question is, if you don't seem to fit the full level of qualifications this round, are you able to still perhaps participate in the team from the perspective of just learning, so that perhaps in the future, during another application process, you could be prepared and ready to participate?
I think it's a really great idea. Something I will say is that, for all of the lessons and the whole curriculum that we will be engaging in with the cohort, that is definitely something that we'd be willing to share and to any interested party. I'd also say that a strong partner throughout this project is the Maryland Small Business Development Center, and they have incredible consultants that would so similarly be willing to work with you and help you kind of strengthen and grow your business in preparation for the second round. And I personally would be willing to provide whatever support and help that I could give. But in terms of the actual kind of cohort learning and regular process, that is going to be something, at least at the beginning, that's going to be reserved just for our boost winners. I see Daiwi put something in the Q&A. If I am not chosen for the cohort, is there an opportunity to volunteer? I think it's important to build with other like-minded individuals, even if it's giving my time freely. Oh, that is just such a fantastic sentiment. Thank you so much. I love that. I mean, it's what I love about Baltimore. Yes, % yes. And I will reach out to you privately to discuss that more.
And thank you.
Did I miss
Jody's comment? Thank you, Jody, on that piece. I think outside of that, did we cover them all?
Team, we have one hand raised.
Okay.
Oh, I see Deshaun.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can, yes.
Okay, great. It worked this time. So quick question for you. I am in the food service industry and restaurant industry, and I know that there are a couple of options there for, I think there are a few of them that are built out, restaurant spaces that are built out. With those particular spaces, being that they're different landlords, if you will, I do know that sometimes in the food service industry, there are specifics that those landlords look for as far as concepts and things like that. Is that the case with these particular locations? Because I do know, like for instance, with Lexington Market, you mentioned earlier, they have specifics that they're looking for. So would that be the case in these locations? Thank you.
Thank you so much for that question, Deshaun. As far as I understand, no, they are not reserved for a specific type of food business or anything like that. So there are no barriers as far as I understand it in terms of who would be eligible for those locations. But if you're interested in learning more, I can connect you directly with the property owners for those spaces to discuss. But yeah, so the two spaces on Charles Street and 7 North Calvert, the folks that I've spoken with, they're open for any food concept there. And yeah, please again reach out to me directly, and we can schedule a tour 7 North Calvert.
Lauren, are we missing anything? Anything I'm not seeing, trying to go back through?
I don't think so, team. I think we got it all. But Sam, maybe you want to reiterate your contact information for everybody. I think I put our phone number in the chat, but I will put our office number in the chat again for everybody now.
And I just put my email address in there as well. So yes, please email me anytime, call me anytime. I've been having a lot of one-on-one conversations with interested businesses, and they've been a lot of fun, and I'd love to keep doing them. So if you just want to talk things out, bounce ideas off of me, please don't hesitate to reach out. I am a resource for you guys as you plan out your applications. So yeah.
Sam,
I don't know, Shalonda, you had any.
One last hidden question. If someone applies for the first round and they're not selected, will they need to reapply again for the second or third round?
Yes, Bill, and I would actually encourage you, if that is the case, to reshape your applications a little bit, and I can, provide direct counseling on how to do that. But if you're not selected in the first round, yes, I would encourage you to rejigger your application and see if there's another way that you can approach it. All right, Shalonda, why don't you take us home?
All right. Well, I thank you all. We had staying power because they stayed on. So I thank you for your interest in doing this. Please connect with us at Downtown Partnership. We're really trying to figure out how we grow not only downtown, but support our city overall. And we know that the best way to do that, the only way to really do that is together. We have, like Mayor Scott has issued and what you see going on around the country, I think there's a recognition around systemic racism and the impacts of that. And so Downtown Partnership is being very intentional about our commitment and growth of Black-owned businesses and wanting to make sure that our downtown is reflective of the demographics of our city. And so there will be numerous ways and ways that we can engage and do that. So I encourage you all to please follow us on social if you don't already. Please visit our website if you don't already. Go downtownbaltimore.com. On Tuesdays, now it'll probably be once a month, we do a series, Downtown Download. If you have not participated in that, we actually have for next month on March 9th, Delali Daraza will be a part of that. So we want to unpack and figure out all of these things to his success. We've had the mayor, we've had the police commissioner, the health commissioner, and the like. And so all of those are on our site just as re-recordings if you want to go back and take a look. All we're asking, please connect with us, stay with us, because this is about all of us growing together. Have a good evening. We have saved you 9 extra minutes if you plan to stay until 6. And so, I'm thinking you could start your application with that amount of time, but do what you want on this evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll talk to you next time. One more thing, I'm sorry. We are doing this again. So please tell your friends if you have not already. I want to make sure I get the date right. Lauren, in here, we have it, because I think it's next Tuesday at 8 a.m. Am I correct? Tuesday.
On the 16th.
What's the date? I'm sorry, I thought I had it. The 16th.
Tuesday the 16th.
Tuesday the 16th at 8 a.m. Please share it. And thank you to all of you who have already started to post and share and all of this about Boost. If you don't qualify, it doesn't mean a sister friend, brother friend will not. And this is about the collective. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please share, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.